Now on CBC Vancouver News.
I'm uncomfortable to begin with, and then having this happen is just too much.
One man is dead after a shooting at a homeless encampment in Abbotsford. Plus,
we at the Commission think about this as really cutting off limbs.
the agency in charge of managing BC's farmland says it will have to cut staff and service as its duties grow and budget stays the same. And
they've got this policy, it's creating expensive housing, and it's pissing off neighbors.
Vancouver's push for multiplexes has some people worried they won't lead to more affordable housing.
I think the market will adjust.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. Police in Abbotsford say a shooting at a homeless encampment has left one man dead. And as Benit Breit shows us, it's raising concerns about the safety of some of the most vulnerable people in that city.
This site just off of Highway 1 is the walk-come park and ride, but for several years it's also been a homeless encampment. And now it's a crime scene after police say an older man was shot and killed here. His death is believed to be targeted.
Well, I heard a loud bang, and I thought something like a battery blew up or something.
Brian Moen has been living here for 6 months.
I'm uncomfortable to begin with, and then having this happen is just too much.
Police say the 69-year-old victim lived at this encampment. Officers were called just after 11 p.m. Monday night. Police haven't shared the victim's name nor what may have led to the shooting. No one has been arrested yet.
Public safety in the general area as a result of this incident is not at risk.
Sergeant Paul Walker says in the past year, officers have been called to the encampment 31 times.
What you see behind me is not safe for them, not only from a sanitary perspective, but a criminal perspective.
Police say the encampment is on land that is the province's responsibility. BC's housing ministry says as improvements to Highway 1 continue, it will keep assessing the need and the use of the encampment to balance public safety and the needs of contractors. The shooting has this outreach society stressing the importance of better housing for those most vulnerable.
Do I think safety is the biggest issue? No, I think a lack of affordable housing and safe housing options is our biggest concern right now. That would help mitigate a lot of what is going on in their sites.
Hoffner says her team visits the encampment every day to check on people. Homicide investigators are asking anyone with information to contact them. Benit Breit, CBC News, Abbotsford.
The head of BC's Agricultural Land Commission says cuts are coming to the independent agency that decides how farmland is used. As Katie DeRosa explains, it comes amid a larger debate over the best way to preserve the province's prime agriculture.
We at the Commission think about this as really cutting off limbs.
A grim financial picture from the head of the Agricultural Land Commission. In a letter to BC's agricultural community, Jennifer Dyson warns that the Commission will cut its staffing, which will affect service capacity and processing timelines.
The workload continues to increase, but the funding has not.
Dyson says the Commission's budget has flatlined at just over $5 million a year, which has forced the ALC to do more with less.
So what does the Agricultural Land Commission actually do? Let's say you want to build a second home on a farm, host weddings on the property, or build another greenhouse. A farmer would have to apply to their city or town, and if that gets the green light, the Agricultural Land Commission has the final say.
The BC Conservative agriculture critic, a lifelong dairy farmer, says farmers are already frustrated by ALC delays.
And now they're suggesting they're going to lay off more staff. Like, this is a terrible end for what's happening with farming in BC.
In a statement, BC's agriculture minister says there will be no change to the number of ALC compliance and enforcement staff. But that's no comfort to one agriculture researcher.
The biggest fear is that an agency like this will end up imploding upon itself because there's no capacity to do the work that it's been mandated to do.
The mayor of Central Saanich grows grapes in his community. He says the ALC could save money by leaving smaller farm use decisions to local governments.
Working collaboratively with the Agricultural Land Commission is essential to avoid duplication.
The BC government has been under pressure from business groups to change a rule that requires farmers to grow 50% of the food they process. Some say it restricts farmers from developing value-added products that can be processed in warehouse-like facilities on their land. But the ALC chair says that rule protects precious farmland, and once you pave over the green with gray concrete, you can't get it back. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Central Saanich.
To housing now. 3 years ago, Vancouver City Council approved sweeping changes to allow multifamily dwellings on single-family lots. Now many of those multiplexes have been built, but their design and asking prices have some people wondering who they're serving. Troy Charles has that story.
Since 2023, multiplexes have been popping up across Vancouver's single-family neighborhoods. It's part of a sweeping zoning shift aimed at fixing the housing crisis for the missing middle. The city says to the end of last year, they have received 544 multiplex applications and approved 221 of them. But some residents wonder if this push for density will actually fix affordability.
So they've got this policy, it's creating expensive housing, and it's pissing off neighbors.
Arbutus Ridge resident Marissa Thomas is involved with a petition that has over 1,700 signatures urging the City of Vancouver to put a moratorium on multiplexes.
And what we were seeing is these massive structures that were really out of proportion to everything else in the neighborhood.
She says some new multiplex units cost millions of dollars and aren't addressing the missing middle. One local real estate agent agrees some multiplex unit prices are high.
I mean, there's very few buyers who have $2+ million to spend on like a brand new multiplex unit, right? So I think the market will adjust.
He says the multiplex impact on supply is positive, and there are units selling for around the $1 million mark, like this unit in East Vancouver that went for $1.2 million. The builder of this 4-unit multiplex in East Vancouver feels residents will eventually come around to them the same way they did with Laneway Homes.
So I think if you really want to have, say units that are less than $1 million, you've got to do proper small apartment buildings at maybe double the density of what's there currently with the multiplex.
Earlier this month, the city streamlined the multiplex permitting process.
Eligible applicants can now apply for their development and building permits at the same time. By combining these steps, we're cutting approval times by up to 4 months.
To date, approved multiplex permits have accounted for 896 total units, with over 2,000 more pending approval. Troy Charles, CBC News, Vancouver.
An international student here in BC says she feels like a scapegoat in how Canada manages immigration. A report from the Federal Auditor General found international student permit approvals dropped 66% in this province in 2024. The CBC's Keir Junos has her story.
BC's post-secondary minister Jessie Sunner says changes to Canada's immigration system are having unintended effects on BC's post-secondary schools.
The federal government's decisions here are made without consultation with provinces, without consultation with institutions, and without any kind of lead time.
The Auditor General's report found BC took in far fewer international students than expected after student permit cuts in 2024. The tuition they paid made up a big part of many university budgets. Without the money, some schools have resorted to layoffs. But before all these changes, a lawyer says the impacts of more open immigration policy in past years have been made clear.
Rents for Canadians went up. Jobs. Students were allowed to work off campus. Who paid that price? Canadian citizens, permanent residents, young people were competing with foreigners for entry-level jobs.
Being consistently used as a scapegoat, not at all fun.
UBC international student Aditi Adhikari isn't convinced by the sentiment that newcomers are the problem. She says students like her contribute to the schools they enroll in and fill the skills gap in the workforce after they graduate.
International students come to Canada and become researchers, become teachers. A large part of the workforce in universities is TAs and RAs and sessional faculty, which is international students by far.
The auditor also found federal immigration is way behind in investigating thousands of study permit holders. Adhikari questions the government's ability in dealing with impacts borne by its own policies.
And of course, there are cases of fraud, I think, very clearly. But I think the other part of it is that, there's a great deal of incompetence on the federal government's part in not catching these cases of fraud, right?
Adhikari adds not everyone studies here to get permanent residency, but for those who have to leave, the personal impact can be enormous. Kirju now, CBC News, Surrey.
A controversial shelter and resource hub in downtown Nanaimo is closing its doors next week after it couldn't find a new location. But as Claire Palmer shows us, 2 social service agencies hope to open a new 24/7 shelter and made their pitch to City Council on Monday.
This is Nanaimo's downtown resource hub. It's been a centralized location for people on the street to seek services, but it'll be closing its doors next week, with nothing lined up to fill the gap.
Recognizing what's going to happen once the hub closes, it's just going to be really awful.
But there is a possible backup plan. Hayes is partnering with Deborah Hollins and the Nanaimo Family Life Association to start a new homeless shelter and drop-in center, only a few city blocks away. But there's a catch. It's next to City Hall, and getting council support for their plan would help it happen.
ICCS and NFLA have developed a template for a hub that, with funding and with a secure location, we could get things up and running quite quickly.
This connection saves lives.
The pair presented their plan to council on Monday, with council asking staff for a report, but not yet giving support.
But I'm not in any way endorsing tonight the location at 2.
Mayor Leonard Krogh says he recognizes the benefits of the hub, but he isn't sold on the plan.
The issue is location. And invariably, there are issues with the behaviors of people who attend the hubs. There's no sense pretending it doesn't happen.
And he's not the only one who thinks the downtown area has been overburdened, concentrating disorder in the area.
You cannot have it, again, in a downtown core or in a heavily residential core. It has to be decentralized. This is not a new idea.
Hollins says the 2 organizations intend to submit their application with or without the city's support.
And then it's going to be up to the decision makers whether or not we get funding, when we get funding, how much funding we can get, and all of that has to happen. So we're asking for a yes.
Hollins says she's hopeful that she and Hayes can get something in place before next winter, and that in the meantime, there's no immediate plan to replace the hub in the coming weeks. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo.
Just over a month after the deadly mass shooting in Tumbler Ridge, tales of bravery from those who survived are being shared. At the National Prayer Breakfast in Ottawa earlier in the day, Conservative MP Bob Zimmer spoke of a student named Christina, who helped shield victims in the library at Tumbler Ridge Secondary.
Christina, during the shooting, grabbed wounded Maya in her left arm like this, and grabbed Abel Jr. in her right arm like this, and proceeded to pull them both under the table for protection. She held them both and was there for about 30 minutes while the shooting continued in the aftermath that followed. Maya is recovering in hospital today, I know in part thanks to Christina.
Zimmer says Christina also shared a final message from 12-year-old Abel Mwansa Jr., one of the victims, to his parents, telling them he loved them. 12-year-old Maya Gabala remains in hospital recovering from serious injuries. 8 people, 6 of them young children, were killed in the mass shooting on February 10th. Police say the shooter then took her own life.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
Doris Madabi is here with a first look at the weather and some weather warnings for us.
That's right. We are starting with this low pressure system that's been moving over BC. And so if we zoom in here, number of weather warnings still in place. Of course, earlier today, we had a lot of weather warnings on Vancouver Island, a lot of wind warnings there, number of power outages as a result. We saw tens of thousands of power outages between Vancouver Island and the mainland. And now, really, the focus is going to be on the snow that's still coming over the next few 12 hours or so. In most areas should be over by then. A number of the mountain passes from BC to Alberta or connecting parts of the southeast are expecting another to get 25, 30 centimeters of snow in total, and the central and northern interior, similar amounts. So we'll take a closer look at that later in the show, Dan.
Sounds good, thanks.
Thank you.
It's starting to look pink and white in many parts of the Lower Mainland, but the city of Richmond is warning people that cherry blossoms are not really to be messed with. That's next. BC Highway Patrol is reminding EV drivers that self-driving features are not legal in this province. The warning comes after officers say they pulled over and fined a woman for appearing to be asleep behind the wheel. Take a look. Police shared this photo, which appears to show a woman folding her arms in the driver's seat. A 37-year-old Metro Vancouver person in a Tesla was pulled over during rush hour on Highway 1 last week, suspected of nodding off.
We know that self-driving is an emerging technology, but even though your car may come with such a feature, it is not legal in British Columbia. You must be fully in control of your vehicle at all times.
It is officially springtime here in Metro Vancouver, and cherry blossoms are starting to bloom. The delicate flowers are drawing people beneath their soft pink canopies. But in Richmond, signs have gone up asking visitors not to get too carried away. Shoria Chetri tells us why.
It's a familiar spring scene in Richmond. Cherry blossoms in full bloom and people gathering to take it all in.
Yeah, it's always been here for as long as I remember.
For local Charlene Mercy, visiting Gary Point Park each spring has been a long-time tradition. The blossoms don't last long, but for a few weeks they transform the park.
They're just alive as anything.
The flowers draw thousands into the city every year, but at times people might get a little too close.
I think maybe it's the excitement that they just want to take a photo or video or something.
The city of Richmond has now put up signs in several parks asking people to admire the blossoms but to not climb trees, pull branches, or pick blossoms.
When you see something beautiful like these cherry trees, the instinct is to want to touch the flowers and pull them down to get a close camera shot.
Locals say the reminder helps.
If we want to keep them being beautiful every year, like, it's important to take care of it.
And enjoy it. And then do anything. Just love, take a picture. That's what people should do.
I didn't see anyone actually pulling out the branch. Anything?
Gary Point Park alone has more than 250 Ekibono cherry trees, gifted by the Japanese-Canadian community, and some planted more than 25 years ago.
This is really one of the best places to come and see cherry trees in the region.
With more visitors expected ahead of the Richmond Cherry Blossom Festival on April 12, the city is urging people to consider taking transit. Shaurya Chetri, CBC News, Richmond.
Pride festivals from around the country are asking Ottawa for $3 million every year. They say corporations have pulled back their sponsorships amid a backlash to diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. That leaves a sizable funding gap.
Organizations are approaching a breaking point, forcing some significantly to rethink what Pride can look like moving forward. Pride festivals cannot disappear. When Pride spaces are reduced, the visibility and collective commitment to inclusion and human rights are weakened. Homophobia, transphobia, and racism and sexism don't just go away.
Festival organizers spoke on Parliament Hill asking for funding over 3 years, which they say will help 200 events keep running and help pay for artists and logistics. Ottawa has already budgeted $1.5 million for security costs, but those groups have already said that is not enough to deal with violent threats. A tiny black bear cub is getting some help after it was found just north of Kamloops. Animal rescuers found the cub near Heffley Lake in distress.
Here we go. He's so small. He's so tiny.
Now, hoping for their mother's return, the cub was left overnight, but by morning, with no mother in sight, rescuers took special permissions to take him under their care, warming him up, feeding him bear milk, and just about a few hours ago, the cub was arrived safely at the Society's Smithers facility for some rehabilitation. And rescuers say so far, the little one is in stable condition and will be back on his feet soon and ready, hopefully, to make some friends. They have not named the cub yet, but they say this year's naming theme will be condiments. There's a look at Whistler Village, where some snow has fallen. Good news for skiers and boarders alike. Darius will have your BC-wide weather forecast coming up.
This is Vancouver is a new CBC podcast where we explore the issues, the stories, and the people that make this place home. Listen to This is Vancouver wherever you get your podcasts.
A years-long CBC News investigation has uncovered a swath of previously secret police files proving widespread spying by the RCMP on Indigenous political organizers during the 1970s. CBC Indigenous reporter Brent Forrester has this exclusive story.
It was the 1970s and Indigenous people were organizing like never before. A people's movement growing across the country and abroad. Canadians were watching, soon the Mounties were too.
It was very overt. They would park right in front of the Indian Brotherhood office, the Dene Nation office, and they were taking pictures of everybody.
And now Dene leader George Erasmus knows how far it went. CBC News has obtained thousands of pages of once secret spy files, each marked as racial intelligence by the now disbanded RCMP security service. The files reveal extensive surveillance of legitimate Indigenous groups and high-profile leaders seen as threats for demanding change.
We wanted it to be a country where Indigenous people were recognized the way they should be. We were never threatening this country, we were building it. We still are.
I obtained the papers after more than 3 years of fighting under access to information law. They reveal hundreds of surveillance reports, names of 150 RCMP members involved, hundreds of Indigenous people surveilled, and at least 30 Indigenous organizations targeted, turning the security service into a repository of general information on Natives for the Liberal government.
It's disturbing. Where was there any regard for our rights? Our rights as just citizens.
The methods were intrusive, paid informants to infiltrate movements.
It was strategic in two senses. One is that they could get valuable information about them, but two, it would sow the seeds of doubt and fracture movements from within.
And now confirmation the Mounties wiretapped phones.
Technical sources were used somewhat sparingly, so I was told by ex-Mounties. The fact that they're being used here suggests that I would think that it's a fairly high-profile target.
This is a spy story, sure, but it's also a story of movements that proved too resilient to suppress. The RCMP has officially declined to comment on these historical operations. However, a spokesperson in an interview said the force has changed and takes repairing relationships with Indigenous communities seriously. Brett Forster, CBC News, Toronto.
This CBC News investigation also reveals ties to this province. Secret police files show the RCMP targeted the Union of BC Indian Chiefs. We'll have that story on Wednesday and the reaction on CBC Radio and online at cbc.ca/BC. Investigators have released new details about the deadly Air Canada crash in New York City. They say the plane was cleared to land at LaGuardia just a few minutes before it crashed into a fire truck. The truck itself cleared to cross the runway 20 seconds before the collision. Sarah Levitt has more on the investigation and the two Canadian pilots who were killed.
We rarely, if ever, investigate a major accident where it was one failure.
36 hours after an Air Canada plane crashed into a fire truck at New York's LaGuardia Airport, killing the two pilots, and the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board says it has some answers. We know two air traffic controllers were working, but the NTSB says it has conflicting reports on which one cleared the fire truck to cross the runway. And there's more.
The ASDX system did not alert.
That system meant to track the movement of aircrafts and vehicles on the runway. It failed because the fire truck wasn't equipped with a transponder. 30-year-old Antoine Forêt was captaining the plane. On Facebook, Forêt's girlfriend shared a photo calling him the love of her life. Forêt graduated from a flight school in Saguenay, Quebec in 2018.
Antoine was really a nice student. Kind of people always smiling and really enjoying flying aircraft.
Mackenzie Gunther was first officer on the flight. He graduated from Seneca College's Aviation Technology program, where on Tuesday the flags flew at half-mast. 39 of those on board were taken to hospital, including flight attendant Solange Tremblay. Her daughter saying she was ejected 100 meters from the plane, still attached to her seat. 6 people remain in hospital. Those on the plane are processing what happened, many expressing praise for the pilots.
They did the right thing with evaluating something extremely critical and extremely triggering, and sacrificed their lives for us passengers, and I want to say thank you to them and thank you to their families.
The Canadian Transportation Safety Board has sent 3 investigators to assist, but says in this country, runway incursions have been a concern.
In 2024, there was the highest number of occurrences involving runway incursions in Canada in the last 15 years.
At LaGuardia, the investigation continues, including interviewing the controllers involved and the firefighters on the truck hit by the plane and injured. It's not yet known whether they heard the calls to stop crossing the runway. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
Israel and Iran keep targeting each other with waves of missiles and drones, even as Donald Trump insists diplomatic talks are progressing. Also contrasting with his signals about a possible de-escalation is the latest deployment of thousands more U.S. Marines to the Gulf. The CBC's Sasha Petrusek has the latest from Jerusalem.
A lot of hopes were raised and the markets went up when Donald Trump came out with his statement saying that very, very strong talks were going on between the United States and Iran. Iran came out and said that there were no talks going on directly or indirectly, and they called Donald Trump's statement fake news. Donald Trump did send his main Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, into the region. As for Israel, it's playing down these talks, and even though Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calls Donald Trump his friend, it doesn't sound very much like he's on the same page.
הנשיא טראמפ מאמין שיש סיכוי למנף את ההישגים הכבירים של צה"ל וצבא ארצות הברית כדי לממש את יעדי המלחמה בהסכם, הסכם שישמור על האינטרסים החיוניים שלנו. במקביל, אנחנו ממשיכים לתקוף גם באיראן וגם בלבנון.
A number of countries are taking the opportunity to reach out and try to get the talks going, but other countries in the region are in a bit of a bind because they are now both targets for Iran's missiles. At the same time, they are hosting the United States, and that puts them in a very vulnerable position.
We're working very closely with them on how to de-escalate and to find a way out of this crisis and to stop the attacks on our countries.
But to look at this region, you wouldn't think that a peace agreement was anywhere close. Israel attacked Iran, and it also launched airstrikes in the north, in Lebanon, Beirut, as well as ground operations in the south as it moved further and further in and suggested it might be there for quite a while. Iran fired at least 10 volleys of missiles at Israel. Hezbollah, the militant group in Lebanon, fired their own rockets at Israel into the north. So a lot of fighting, a lot of firing still going on. Again, no sign that peace is just around the corner. Sasha Petrusek, CBC News, Jerusalem.
The people of Ukraine are marking a grim anniversary this month, the Russian assault on the once vibrant city of Mariupol. It remains under Russia's control to this day, and the emotional fallout is the subject of a new play written by a Canadian and recently debuting in the Ukrainian capital. More now from Briar Stewart.
A moment of remembrance outside of a theater in Kiev. It's been 4 years since Russia bombed the drama theater in the city of Mariupol, where people were sheltering at the time. On the anniversary of that tragedy, a new play is taking the stage. The Ghosts of Mariupol is written and directed by Canadian Christopher Morris. It centers on an actor who fled Mariupol after Russia's invasion and one who stayed and works for the theater company under Russian control.
We go deep inside with these two characters' minds. We sit with them and feel with them as they grapple with a choice that they both made.
Sofia Vasileva can relate to the dilemma. She's from Zaporizhia, but her grandparents are living under Russian occupation in the city of Bryansk.
I really appreciate that I can speak from the stage my pain, pain for all people who are suffering from the war.
Russia, which continues to attack Ukrainian cities every day, has now rebuilt the theater in Mariupol to host Russian productions. It's infuriating to these actors in this play.
They're just dancing on the bones. I don't know, it's so... How can people be so I'm just speechless.
Like open new Mariupol theater? Seriously? How it's possible in our world?
The Ghosts of Mariupol will tour across Ukraine, and there are plans to stage an English version in Toronto next year. Canada's ambassador hopes it resonates with audiences there too.
The more we see these expressions of what's happening, the more it remains in everyone's thoughts.
Because she believes art can play a role in keeping Ukraine's struggle in the spotlight. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
A new medical study suggests women who experience premature menopause are more at risk of developing heart disease later in life. Tashana Reid has details and the calls for greater awareness.
Heart disease. It's a leading cause of premature death in women, and menopause can elevate that risk.
We've known that the connection there exists. We know that premature menopause raises risk for heart disease.
Researchers at Chicago's Northwestern University looked at the data of 10,000 American women over 5 decades. Women who had premature menopause, which means before the age of 40, had a 40% higher lifetime risk of heart attack. The study did not include women who went into menopause after surgery.
Women have been vastly understudied in cardiovascular science for decades, so we have lots to learn.
During menopause, estrogen, which protects the heart, starts to drop, and that shift can lead to many symptoms.
Pretty significant hot flashes and, kind of fogginess, some challenges with mental acuity, I would say.
Jennifer Carana experienced menopause at 46 and already has a pre-existing heart condition.
It worries me because I think there's a lot we don't know.
It's a very significant issue.
Cardiologist Dr. Jody Heshka says more research and education around the unique risks during this life stage is critical.
We see that the incidence of heart disease increases, the incidence of hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol levels, all start to increase around the time of menopause.
She adds that women tend to be underdiagnosed and undertreated, and it's important for clinicians to consider these risks.
We can be more aggressive on asking about risk factors, asking about reproductive history, factoring it into our assessments.
While research still needs to be done to understand why menopause has an impact on our hearts, doctors say maintaining a healthy diet, regular exercise, and avoiding smoking all can make a difference. Tashana Reid, CBC News, Toronto.
Coming up, we talk with a man dubbed the father of Brazilian Jiu-jitsu in Canada. How he got that name and his journey in the sport. Next.
So I know when I really like a song, if within the first 3 seconds, I'm already vibing to it.
Hey, I'm Rohith Joseph. Vibin' is the new show all about discovering great new songs and fresh artists from across BC and beyond.
It's not one person dictating what good music is, it's the community sharing what good music is.
Stream Vibin' on CBC Listen.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
Darius Madafi's here with our BC-wide weather forecast and more on the wind that's whipping through.
That's right. Still some strong winds coming to much of the southern interior. It's a little bit gusty on parts of the coast, but those wind warnings have now dropped after that low pressure system has moved off of northern Vancouver Island and into the interior. So all those wind warnings that were on the island now dropped, but still 90-kilometer-per-hour gusts possible in much of the southern interior and the Chilcotin. So keeping a close eye on those areas. And then again, we have those other snowfall and winter storm warnings. But I also wanted to mention the power outages. I just updated this. About 2,100 power outages on the lower mainland and the Sunshine Coast, closer to 51,000 across Vancouver Island. Now, those numbers have come down a bit since their peak just about an hour ago, so a little bit of good news there. Crews clearly hard at work getting people back online. But because those wind gusts are also strong in the interior, I also know that the central interior has about 1,000 power outages, and the Okanagan-Thompson has about 300. So a number of places that we're keeping an eye on in terms of those outages and hoping people get back online soon. More power outages are still possible in many areas, especially in the interior, but less likely now than they were, for sure. Those numbers I would expect to keep going down now rather than up. And the precipitation that we're seeing, still a decent amount of snow coming to parts of the northeast, especially the Peace region and the central interior, as well as some of the mountain passes in the southeast. With that said, those highest snowfall rates are definitely this evening, especially early evening. So we should see some calming in the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning, although some snow may linger into tomorrow morning as well. As we get into tomorrow afternoon, we may see some showers and flurries in the morning, but by the afternoon, mostly drying out here on the lower mainland as well, and a little bit of sunshine also likely there. With that said, with the new snow coming in and the strong winds, some storm slabs have been spreading. So these are more widespread avalanche risks. And so avalanche danger is high on Vancouver Island and considerable across much of BC over the next few days. So definitely something to be keeping an eye on, even as conditions improve into the end of the week. We talked yesterday, Dan, about the cold air that's coming down through the province, and then we will see that warm air from down south fight its way back up by the end of the week, so temperatures not dipping down for too long. And again, more sunshine coming out tomorrow, even though we do have some more shower and flurry activity possible in a lot of areas. And even here on the coast, some sunshine still to come.
For 2 days in a row.
I know, crazy.
Note the date. Thanks.
Thank you.
When Marcus Suarez first came to Canada in 1997, he became the first black belt to open a school in this country. Fast forward to now, and he's regarded as the father of Brazilian Jiu-jitsu in Canada. The CBC's Steve Jung met Suarez at his Langley gym to learn more about his journey.
My name is Marcus Suarez. I'm in Canada since 1997. I'm going to be 29 years I'm here in Canada, and I brought the Carson Gracie Jiu-Jitsu style to Canada. In 1970, I was 13 years old. My uncle was friend of Carson Gracie. He took me there, introduced me, and since the first time, I fell in love with Jiu-Jitsu. Without any knowledge, I was a natural grappler already because I didn't even know chokes, nothing like this, but in a fight, I was used to go to the neck of the person, right? So, of course, I fall in love. And I'm lucky to be members since the first generation. Okay, we're gonna show the triple attack here from the mount position, okay? I'm gonna cross the grip on the sleeve, control the elbow, and drag the opponent up, turn him to the side, and to avoid he go back to the ground, I'm gonna bring my knee forward here And my hand here, I pin his head on the ground.
You were the first person to teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Canada, is that right?
When I came to Canada, I believe I had between 3 and 5 blue belts teaching already, right? But I was the first black belt to open a gym in Canada. So what I did, I created a curriculum with basic techniques, around 140 techniques. And that's what's important to Jiu-Jitsu, your foundation, your basics, right? So, and my preoccupation was all the representatives teach the basic exactly the way I do. And you can see on the shelves there the effectiveness of the custom Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
My name's Keenan. I've been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Marcus for probably at least 18 years now, since I was like yay big. My dad's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. At the time, he was a blue belt, but he got me into Marcus's classes pretty early. I was probably 12 years old, and I had a bit of a background in doing some judo first. My first ever class in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was out at a Burnaby location, and my dad brought my little brother and I to, it was an adult jiu-jitsu class, but my brother and I were probably 10 and 12, respectively, myself being the older brother. And I remember my brother beating me. My little brother beat me in my first ever Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match, and I was so frustrated. And ever since then, I've been absolutely hooked.
I call him the son of Jiu-Jitsu. Everybody else, the little stars, is not gonna shine like him.
Well, you call Carlson the son of Jiu-Jitsu,
yes.
But people here in Canada call you the father of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Canada. Like, is that a title that makes you proud, or do you think maybe not for me?
Well, I don't have this ego.
What is lesson number one? Lesson number one that you teach every student who comes into the gym, no matter what. What is lesson number one from Marcus Suarez?
Number one lesson, come to the gym and be happy, okay? Number two, be respectful, right? I'm not the owner of the truth, but you have to respect the hierarchy. I'm here spending my time to make you not only a good fighter, but a better person too.
Well, what are some of the biggest lessons that you've taken away from being in Jiu-Jitsu?
I can't think of anyone better to learn about taking a chance on myself than Marcus. He came to this country 29 years ago without even speaking English. And he brought a part of his culture and created something here in Canada that has helped so many people like me, like my dad, like the thousands of students that he's taught. Jiu-Jitsu, it's very humbling. There's always something more to learn. And just the ability to always come into class, set an intention of what I want to learn, to scratch that curiosity is hugely impactful in every aspect of my life.
I came here on the work visa, valid for 1 year. I didn't even know what was going to happen the second year, the third year, right? So every year I had to renew. And I stay here and I did my promise. I said I don't leave Canada until I have at least 1 black belt. So now we have around 30 black belts.
How's that?
Good.
She's been dropping hints, s'il vous plaît. After the break, we'll take a look at the possibility of Celine Dion making a comeback in Paris.
Amy Bell, and this is your CBC Inbox.
On April 16th, join CBC's Leanne Young at the 2026 Surrey and White Rock Women in Business Awards. Come celebrate the strength and achievements of the incredible women shaping our future. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC's e-newsletter and keep connected with us.
Fans of Celine Dion are buzzing with excitement as rumors of her comeback continue to mount.
CBC's Griffin Yeager has more on the not-so-subtle hints and the growing hype that follows.
It was so long ago, but it's all coming back to me.
Mysterious signs are popping up around Paris, teasing a Celine Dion comeback. Outside cafes and metro stops, titles of iconic songs like Power of Love and My Heart Will Go On line the streets.
It's gonna be a massive hit.
She's an icon. I'm pretty sure she'll sell out, no problem.
I'm super happy for her.
The cryptic campaign alongside this Instagram post featuring photos of the Canadian in Paris over several decades. And in French, Dion writing, "I don't know how to tell you."
It's really generating quite a buzz on social media, and it would, I think, be kind of easy to throw off the reports as just being reports if there wasn't this sort of shred of evidence.
That, plus 2 reports from Variety and La Presse, saying the singer is expected to perform 2 shows per week beginning in September at Paris's La Défense Arena in the fall, the largest indoor arena in all of Europe. Though that venue and Dion have yet to confirm.
It's definitely a way of building hype.
This all comes after her triumphant return from illness atop the Eiffel Tower at the 2024 Paris Olympics opening ceremony.
Have been diagnosed with a very rare neurological disorder.
Dion stepped away from the spotlight in 2022 when she was diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, saying it impacted her ability to sing. Later sharing that journey in a documentary.
I'm working hard every day.
I'm so sorry you're going through this. It feels unspeakably cruel for this to be happening to you.
And in a Canadian exclusive with CBC News, her determination was clear.
Oh, I'll sing again. I'll sing again.
As for when, fans can only keep searching for signs. Griffin Yeager, CBC News, Toronto.
And she did sing again. Paris opening ceremony, that was fabulous.
It was fantastic. Thanks for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News at 6. You can watch this newscast on CBC Gem, YouTube, and our website, cbc.ca/BC.
And of course, we'll have your next local news at 11 o'clock, right after the National. Good night.